So in the last video I'm going to make about what I want from Bond 26, there is something I really would like to make sure we have in the next Bond movie, which is not to be derivative. Let me explain. Hi guys, it's me. I'm back with a beer and another suggestion for Bond 25, what I want to see in the next James Bond movie. And what I would really not like to see is a movie that is derivative, and that is something that James Bond films have been guilty of on multiple occasions, and like a guilty pleasure kind of thing. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, think of some of the movies in the James Bond franchise that have controversial opinions surrounding them. Quantum of Solace, License to Kill, Live and Let Die, even to a certain extent From Russia with Love. The thing about these movies in particular is that they are derivative. And this is something that Everything or Nothing and the Broccoli family very deliberately did with James Bond movies. They measured the pulse of society and saw what was popular at the time and would direct James Bond movies towards that. So, for example, at the end of The Spy Who Loved Me, the movie, it's a James Bond will return in For Your Eyes Only, but actually came back in Moonraker because Star Wars had been released and Albert Broccoli was like, we need to have a space movie. This isn't science fiction, it is in fact science fact. And they made a Star Wars in space with James Bond. And this is something that James Bond has done repeatedly. In the License to Kill, they actually got like the crew from Lethal Weapon to come in and make an 80s action movie with James Bond in it. And when you had Quantum of Solace, that they got the crew from the Bourne Identity and the Bourne movies and came in and the stunt coordinators from that, and they basically made a Bourne movie, a Jason Bourne movie with James Bond in it, which is like the most meta-circular thing you could possibly think of. Even to a certain extent, like From Russia with Love, I think was influenced by movies by Alfred Hitchcock at the time. And that's worked. I have to admit, it's worked. Live and Let Die, perfect example, because that was a blaxploitation movie that had James Bond in it. And I love it. I love it. Live and Let Die is one of my favourites. But I think one of the things that I would like the next Bond movie to shy away from is being derivative of whatever is popular at the time, for a number of reasons. I think it ages movies really quickly. But also James Bond movies shouldn't be dancing to the beat of whatever is popular at the time, because James Bond movies, we've got 25 James Bond movies in the canon. They are what defines popular culture. I mean, Bond created the genre of spy movies. It's defined action movies. It is its own thing, and it should march to the beat of its own drum. You don't need to have derivative movies. And the derivative movies, especially Quantum of Solace especially, was where I was just like, this is not right. You've got the formula of a James Bond movie and you're throwing it all out the window and you're not doing something original either. You're trying to make a Jason Bourne movie and put the Bond stamp on it, and I don't like that. So I want the next James Bond movie to be a James Bond movie. And if you go back to basics and you stick to the formula, as I said at the beginning of this a series of videos, that works, because the formula is really strong. And James Bond defines a genre. James Bond is cinematic royalty. So you don't need to glean stuff off other movies and what's popular at the time. You want it to be what it is always destined to be. So make a Bond movie that is a Bond movie. Don't try and be derivative of anything else. Especially now, because everything right now is awful. All we've got is freaking reboots, and a lot of stuff can seem really cynical and inauthentic at the time. So let's avoid doing that. Part of the thing that's great about Bond is Bond, and it's authentic and unapologetic. So let's have an authentic, unapologetic, pure Bond movie when Bond 26 comes out. Well, I think that's all I've got in my list of things I want to see in the next James Bond movie. Let me know down in the comments below if you agree with me, if you think any of my suggestions are good or whack or whatever the cool kids are saying. And until then, I will come up with something else to make a video about and speak to you very soon. Cheers! I'm Roland Hume. I've sold 67,000 copies of my books. If you want to find out how I did it, I've got the link right here you can click. And otherwise, don't forget to subscribe. I've got more videos coming soon. Thank you.